Hello, I'm here with Stephanie Rumble, who is the owner of Bright Red, and she's been our client at TriOrbit Digital for about 8 months now. So for anybody who hasn't come across Bright Red before, can you tell us a little about who you love helping and what your business is all about?
Kia ora, Leonard. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this testimonial for you. And yes, I'm very happy to be doing this. So my name's Stephanie Rumble, as Leonard said, and I am a fashion stylist and accountability coach and also educator with Bright Red Styling based out of New Zealand. So my business is really helping people to be the best versions of themselves. And it sounds very contrite, but it's actually the truth. So I help people with fashion styling, which is choosing clothes, colors, styles, everything that suits them. And accountability coaching is really focused around health. So it's about helping people come to a good place with their health and feel really great about themselves eventually, so they can live their most authentic life. And then I do work in the education space too, doing leadership education and some conflict de-escalation education. So that is me, and I help people from men and women and people of all genders from all walks of life.
So from what I've noticed, just working with you for the last 8 months, you're a really busy person and you're into a lot of different things. So you're very multi-skilled. So it's been a pleasure to work with you and to see that over the 8 months.
Kia ora, thank you.
So before we started working together, how are you approaching marketing in your business?
Oh, look, Leonard, so what had happened is I had about 12 months before I approached you, I had a website revamp, which was great. I'd had a friend and colleague of mine do that, and I just wasn't getting the rankings that I needed to. It was really difficult to find me when we searched, and I had a very ad hoc kind of reactive way of doing anything. And I suppose that comes from being fairly creative. And when I met with you, it was, I didn't have systems in place. I was doing podcasts and that was going really well, but I wasn't transcribing them to blogs. And so things just weren't organized and systemized, and I wasn't getting the searching. And, to be frank, my business had started to decline a little bit. So that's where I was at before I got in touch with you and Varna.
Yeah, so things have improved quite greatly since then, so that's good.
Yeah, thanks to you guys.
What made you feel like it was the right time to get external support?
I think the real cincher came for me when I started trying to Google my business name and I could hardly find it. So I dropped to the bottom of the second page, and I'd been a fashion stylist here in Christchurch, New Zealand for 20 years, and I was really shocked. So obviously switching my website over and revamping it had caused some shifts, and I had taken no notice of my SEO. And that was the first point of call for me, was finding somebody who understood SEO, so search engine optimization, and that's really just how your business ranks. You'll be able to explain more about that, and also people finding me, and that visibility had really dropped off for me. So that was the first thing, and I was recommended to you from another colleague and friend of mine. So she put me on to you. So that was really useful. So that's why it was time. I just hadn't, as I said, things were ad hoc too. I needed some systems in place. And also I was going to be going overseas for 6 weeks, and I was really concerned about losing momentum. So I needed some support so that I could have things in place when I was away overseas.
Yeah, well, things certainly have changed quite a bit since then with your rankings. There's no doubt about that.
Definitely.
When we first began, did you know exactly what to expect, and were there any unknowns for you?
Oh, look, I really don't think I understood the full depth of what you offer, what your business offers. And all I knew was that I was right at the bottom of the rankings, like I've said. So, and you had such a big picture view for me. And so, yes, I think there were lots of unknowns. I didn't understand the complexity and the importance of all things working together. And I liken it to an orchestra. I probably had maybe the strings playing, but the brass and everything else and the percussion were just sitting there idle. So I think for you, you really enlightened me in that way and showed me what needed to happen. So I didn't know what to expect to a degree, and you had a very clear marketing plan for me around how to improve my rankings, and amongst many other things. So you're very, very clear in laying out all of the communication, and it was very detailed. But yes, there was lots of stuff I didn't know that I've learned along the way.
What kind of support has TriOrbit Digital provided for Bright Red?
Yes, so initially we started off with quite a comprehensive plan, and the plan outlined, like excuse my layman's terms, Leonard, you're working in the back end of my website to optimize the search engine. So, people could find me more easily, a lot of keyword working. And what was integrally connected to that, which I didn't really think about, was the fact that you transcribed all of my podcasts into blogs. Now, when we first met, I think there was say over 100 podcasts to be transcribed into blogs, and you worked tirelessly, you and Varna, to get that done. So that really, really lifted my rankings. And then you also started giving me advice about what kind of words worked when I was putting posts on social media as well, so that everything started to link together. So that's the support, and also very closely working with me. So, in the process of you transcribing my blogs, I think you really got my voice, which was really helpful, because before that, obviously, you didn't know me very well at all. I feel like you know everything about me now because you've been working so closely with me and listening to my podcast Style for Life as well. So, yeah, and just a lot of technical support as well. So support around some of the systems that you've provided. So you've set up some really awesome systems for managing the data, managing the information that we need to work on together, in a system called ClickUp, which I knew nothing about. And so when I've been, very much struggling with that, you have been there helping me, sending me fantastic information. So just a lot of across the board support so that I can be more visible online and increase my business uptake.
When we first took a look at your website and I saw you had 100 podcasts and that they were not transcribed to your website, I thought, what a gold mine, what a wealth of information that should definitely be on your website. So the first thing I said, we've got to transcribe those. I actually do remember a slight bit of questioning about that at the beginning, why would I want to do that? But I think that is probably one of the primary things. What it does is it gives your website authority, topical authority. So you've got 100 different videos full of topical authority that is now on your blog, and a lot of those articles are getting 200 visitors a month. Not all of them, but a lot of them, and some of them are getting the majority of them are getting at 20, 30, and it all adds up, and that just helps to create awareness for Bright Red and for yourself, and just picks you up, and that helps your rankings sort of indirectly as well, because people.
It really does, Leonard. And you know what else I really like about that is in the blogs, you're not just getting my podcast and running it through an AI filter and dumping it up there, because that could be done, right? So some people might be thinking that that's what happens. That's not what happens at all. You're actually listening to my podcast, because I can see it and the words you write, and also very thoughtfully popping in keywords that are going to be people are going to be searching for, which is really good. And also putting links to my services. So every blog has links to other aspects of my services, so that people can relate what I've said in the podcast and then the blog to the service I'm offering. So you've pulled it together, which is really, 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 really helpful. And also what I think I did learn from you too is this is a long game. You've got to stay in and be consistent. I sort of associate it with fitness. You don't run a marathon just like that without a lot of pain. Results take some time to come. So, I've definitely seen a really big shift in results too.
Yeah, those links are actually critical, because what they do, the blog posts give you topical authority, and then the links to the services give more weight to your actual service pages. So the more Google can see that you're talking about those services within articles, it ties the articles to the services, and then those service pages start to rank. And you've got like literally hundreds of number one rankings now, like for various keywords and terms. They're not all high volume, but it's not too bad considering at the beginning you were getting the website was getting like a handful of clicks a day, so now it's grown exponentially, and it's still growing. So, and it will continue to grow as long as we continue creating these articles, and you continue the podcast. And the podcasts are actually like the food for the articles, and so everything just works together, which is what I was going to say before. Everything you mentioned before, that there's so many things working together, and it's true. There's a misconception about SEO. Some people believe that, it was like that maybe back in 2015, that, you just adjust meta titles and keywords and put some keywords on the page and stuff like that. Yeah, we do that, but that's about 5% of what we're doing now. That no longer helps get rankings at all. That's just a part of what helps get the rankings. To get the rankings now, you need to have a holistic approach. So an SEO now needs to be into everything across the whole website, because everything works congruently and holistically. From your perspective, what has changed in your business since we've begun to work together?
I think, interestingly, being an accountability coach, you've made me more accountable. So we've put systems in place to manage the work we do together, and that's been really helpful for me from a time management perspective. And also I have a whole lot more visibility. So I have more people coming to me. I have more inquiries from my website. I've got more engagement on my social media. And, when we put together a campaign and do it really well, like I'm sure we're going to talk about in a minute around Meta, you can see the results like almost instantly. So yeah, I just feel like you've got your finger on the pulse of what needs to happen in terms of generating those leads and getting people coming to the website, which is what every business wants.
Well, what I say is SEO is not SEO unless you bring in leads. If you're optimizing the site or optimizing the content and there's no leads, that's not SEO. I don't know what that is, but it's not SEO. So yeah, that's the whole point. We need to increase the bottom line. How has having a more structured approach to marketing and meta advertising impacted your visibility or consistency?
Oh, that's such a good question. And, I feel very overwhelmed when it comes to things like meta advertising. Like, it's just like, oh, that's quite scary for me. So I think having structure's been great. And I think you've given me really good guidance around how we need to lead into a meta advertising campaign. So sort of put out to me exactly what I need to do. So for example, what are you trying to do? Come up with 9 or 10 key phrases, which challenged me. And then you go away and do this amazing research around what the customer is looking for. And that's what we did in the most recent campaign we did. And then you came back to me with some really key areas I needed to speak to do some video, face-to-video for my latest advertising campaign. So in summary, it's having that research done. What's the customer looking for? It's meant that I know exactly what I need to deliver to you, so then you can do the back end work and Meta to get it out there. So it has increased my visibility. So for example, we launched a Meta campaign about 5 days ago, and on last count, I've had like 23 inquiries, and that's actually huge considering it's a very niche product that I'm offering, which is fashion stylist refresher training. Yeah, so I would never have achieved that on my own. I would have had maybe 1 or 2 queries and they would have been not great leads. So, very, very good. And you're helping funnel out the people who don't necessarily want the service. You're really strategically placing the content of the advertisements in the right place to get the right people coming back through in terms of approaching me for services.
Yeah, so we've had a whole process behind that. So we went away and researched like what the pain points that your potential audience have. And then we went and basically provided you with a script just to work from, so that we can create like a series of videos, so that we can use the Andromeda algorithm with Meta to to sort of target all of those different personas in one campaign, and then the algorithm with the Andromeda, the algorithm is a whole different topic, but in short, we kind of let that, there's a new way of doing things on Meta, and we've sort of grabbed the bull by the horns with that, and it's working out really well. And yeah, we're very happy to see those leads come in as well. We get as excited as you do.
Awesome.
How does it feel to know your marketing is being handled professionally and strategically?
It's such a relief. It's a relief because when you're a small business owner, what happens is it feels not just a relief, it feels great. So you end up doing so much work in the business, and then you have to turn around and do an equal amount of work on the business. So I spend like a lot of my time, which is, how it works, not being paid for the work I do, and then having to muddle my way through. So what I found working with you guys and getting my, even my podcast organized with my podcast editor is that it's great having somebody who knows what they're doing. It just feels like that load's been taken off me. I can do what you need to do. Someone else is taking the bull by the horns a little bit and giving you what you need to do, and then you can just do it, and then you can get on with delivering the products and the services that you offer without having to go and figure out how to use software and do things that just take up time. So time is money. So it's saving me money.
And there is a bit of a process of working together as well. I think that over the past 8 months, things were probably slightly clumsy at the beginning, which is not anybody's fault. That's just how it is when two businesses start to work together. And then over time, things have just like started to mesh together a lot better. And we've got a pretty good process running right now, I think. So
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I think what's been really good for both of us in this process is having really honest communication. I work in leadership education, so I should be able to be honest, but having really honest communication and being respectful about what needs to happen. So there's been times where you've said respectfully, Stephanie, that video was a 2 out of 10, and I know you can do a 10 out of 10, so go and do it again. And actually, I appreciate that. Like, I really like having that, because being a small business owner, you end up just being alone. And having feedback from an external source, honest, constructive, useful feedback that's going to make the business work better has been really invaluable for me.
I think we're both in alignment there. We're both the type of people that will just say it how it is. We're not trying to be rude, but sometimes it's just easy just to cut through the BS, say it how it is, and then you get a better result at the end. So, and I know that you appreciate that, and I appreciate that from you too. What stands out to you about the way TriOrbit Digital operates compared to other marketing providers?
Such an interesting question, Leonard, because I don't necessarily see you as solely a marketing provider. I see you as a full business support provider. I know you're providing marketing services, but the way that you have been extremely detail-oriented, the way that you've been thorough would be the word that stands out to me the most. And you've gone over and above. And I think that's what I really, really appreciate about you. There's a term I use in leadership education called discretionary effort. And it's the effort over and above what you have to do just to get things over the line. And you have put in so much discretionary effort and continue to. So, and I know sometimes that's been really full on, and there's been so many extra hours done to get me to where I need to go. But I think that's what stood out for me, is the thoroughness, the detail, the holistic approach to, if you do this, it's going to do that, and then it's going to do this, and you need to go back and do this again, because if you don't, then this, and this will happen, and it won't work the way you want it to. So I think that very holistic approach, starting from the ground up, and just working in the back to get things done properly, get them aligned, get all of the terminology, all of the words. I've pushed back at times. I know I've been a bit tricky at times. Why do we need this word? Why are we doing this? And you just patiently come back and explained it to me for the 75,000th time, because I've needed it explained again, and been really understanding about the fact that I don't have the knowledge that you do in this area, and necessarily the understanding. So you've really been very holistic, and you've also been very thorough, and I think that's what stood out to me, and you are prepared to put in that discretionary effort where required.
Yeah, I don't give up, do I?
No, neither of us do. I think that's what makes us work so well together.
I've got a saying, I think I've mentioned the same to you a few times. I'd rather do something once properly than 10 times over.
100%.
Yeah, that's
And
my
I
motto.
probably was doing things. I probably was doing things 10 times over, not very well before I met you. So you've kind of pushed me towards that too, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it definitely helps. Even sometimes people think that, oh, well, this is taking too long, it's not going to be profitable. But the thing is, if you do something properly and it does take extra time, the next time you do it, you sort of hone down that process a bit better anyway. So it's just better, if at the beginning you just suck it up a little bit, if it takes extra time, so be it. But the process gets better, and in the end, you're just doing everything properly and quickly. So that's just my motto. That's how I do things. How has your confidence in TriOrbit evolved over the past 8 months working together?
But my confidence has definitely increased. I would not have retained your business had I not had confidence in you to start with, which is, I just want you to know that. But I think to start with, I just really didn't understand what was needed. And that was no fault of yours. It was just naivety on my part about how this process works. So I think what I can see is, like we just discussed, you're prepared to put in the extra effort where something doesn't quite line up, or we're not sure how to get something done. Like, for example, even doing this recording, you went away and researched how to use the software we're using and got it sorted. It probably would have taken me 3 days. So I think just my confidence has greatly increased, and I think very much increased to the point where, I think a few weeks ago you did one of my blogs and I just messaged you and said, oh my gosh, that was so incredibly spot on. Like, it felt like it was something that I'd actually written myself. And that's where I think you start to see that real alignment where you're finding the voice of the client and the client can see that you've got their voice. So yes, very much so. And I feel really so grateful to have you in my corner.
Well, thank you. When I watch the videos, I've told you before, but I'll just say it for the video. But I literally open your video, I sit down with a cuppa, and I watch it like I'm your fan. And I've got a spreadsheet open, and I take note of everything that I know, like within my skill set and knowledge with digital marketing SEO, that will actually be good to use as a heading or as a some sort of tidbit or whatever. And then I go away and I research like a whole heap of keywords, and I make sure that all the things that people are searching for related to that article, or the high volume stuff, is in headings and is in the articles. And there's a whole process behind that, and that's why the articles are ranking very well. So as you said before, I could just go and put a transcript through ChatGPT and do a prompt, write an article about this. That would take me 35 seconds. But the articles that we create for you, not just that section, but from beginning to end, can take up to 4 hours, sometimes even more. Sometimes if it's a really tricky article, it can take a whole day. And if we end up spending that extra effort, like what you said before, we're willing to go above and beyond. If we put in that extra effort, that helps us because we're going to help you get better rankings, and then we get a better result, and we get a better case study. So we're all in it together, So, but yeah, we do put a lot of effort into watching those videos and making sure that it's like it's not like a word for word transcription per se, but it does contain everything important that was in the video is in the article. So yeah.
And I totally appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. Was there a moment where you thought, yes, I've made the right decision?
I think I felt that pretty quickly from the start. I think that the thing of, I've known for a long time that I needed my podcast articles transcribed into blogs. And it just felt like a completely overwhelming task to me. And so when last year in June, when we had our first initial discussions, and then you said, I'm just going to work on these, I'm going to get one done a day, and you can look at them while you're traveling last year. That was like, when I saw those blogs starting to pop up on my website, I was like, oh my gosh, how good is this? So yes, I think that was the moment when I really saw that happening, and then also started to see. I remember coming back from being overseas. It was about 6 weeks later, and I was at New Zealand Fashion Week, and then I just got like 4 inquiries in like 2 hours. I remember messaging you saying, "Oh my gosh, things are working." You saying, "Yes, they are," and that was like another real affirmation for me that things were working and that retaining you had been the right decision for me.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
Totally.
Who do you think TriOrbit Digital would be the best fit for?
Any business who wants to increase their exposure and get more customers, particularly in the online space. So it doesn't have to be a business that's online, because my services are pretty much all face-to-face, but anybody who has an online presence, so it might be in social media, it could be in having a website, it could be some other way of having exposure online, and you want to work with somebody who does the heavy lifting for you and really tells you why you need to do things. I think that's what I really like too, is you explain why, and you produce really thorough reports and information that I can read through if I need to see why something's happening or I want to know more information. So I think that's who TriOrbit's a good fit for, somebody who wants to increase their visibility online in any way, shape or form, and generate more leads and ultimately get more customers and make some more money.
So we're not just the SEO guys?
No, no. No, but that's the place you started with me, because I have to say this, and this is important to note, it's really difficult to find somebody who knows their stuff around SEO and has had the depth of experience and knowledge that you and Varna have had. I know that you've worked previously in this area for around 20 years, and I think there's a lot of people coming into the market that have some experience in this area, but you, like me, have been in this industry for a while. We're of a similar age, and you've seen many iterations of websites, and you've seen the evolution of an online presence. And I think that gives you a real advantage over smaller and perhaps newer or younger companies, because you have seen what's happened and how it's evolved. And I think that's really important to get that you do this, you do everything really well, but you do this exceptionally well. And that's, that was the starting point for me. Again, I know that to do that, you have to do lots of other things. I used to think that SEO was all just about keyword searches, but it's about increasing your visibility across all of your platforms and across everything in your online presence. And to do that, you can't just throw a few keywords into a website and hope for the best. You have to have somebody like Leonard and his partner Varna working with you to be able to get this done properly, accurately, and with results.
Just the fact that you're saying that shows that we've done our job well, because you could actually be a salesperson for an SEO company now, or a digital marketing company, just by saying exactly what you just said. And I think actually I'm becoming a little bit of a fashion stylist by proxy as well.
I think you are. I think you could coach accountability too, perhaps, as well, and run a few leadership courses. You've read so much of my stuff in as much depth as I have, so I really appreciate that.
The websites are underway now. What would you say to someone who's considering working with TriOrbit Digital but isn't sure yet?
I'd say, why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? And if you're not sure, then just book a call with Leonard and have a conversation about what you're looking for, and talk to him and his partner Varna about what you're looking for. And I'm sure that when you've finished on the conversation, you will feel a lot more sure that you've made the right decision. So I think we can sit for a long time and overthink things, and sometimes you just need to jump in and give it a go. And what I loved about what you offer is you've got a staged process too. I think this is really worth mentioning. So, you have, I think are we at stage 3 or 4, I think now? Maybe it's stage 4 actually.
Yeah, it's stage 3 at the moment.
Stage 3, yeah. So stage 3. So stage 1 had a whole lot of things that were being done. Stage 2, and now we're in stage 3. So, and going through those stages sometimes can feel like walking through sticky mud on your own. But when you have other people helping you through, it's a really good, smooth process working with TriOrbit Digital. I think if you're considering it, I think you need to jump in, give it a go. You will have a team behind you that actually is cheerleading for you. Like, I went into my website a couple of days ago and you just made some tweaks. I was like, oh, training underway, or more dates coming. I hadn't even told you to do that. It was the intuition that you've got from working with me to make those small changes. It just was like to be on every single decision myself. You're actually helping make decisions. You understand my business well enough to be able to do those things. And I just am really grateful. So it's just taking that weight off. And I think anyone who's considering it, step in and give it a go. They're a great company, very, very onto it, and also really worked with sometimes my chaotic work patterns and habits, and have got me working in a much more structured way too. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it, I think, and I am continuing to enjoy the journey. I think we've got some still things to do. There's still things in my click up to do's. I know they're there. Yeah. So I really want to, get the best out of my website. And I suppose I see you a little bit like my personal trainer or a massage therapist, or somebody that's actually I'm going to continue to work with. It's not going to be a one and done relationship. I see it as keeping the health and wellness, because I'm in this space, health and wellness of my business going by having somebody in the background supporting me, like you might have a personal trainer, a massage therapist, or an accountability coach or a fashion stylist. It's having someone there that takes the work away that you don't have the skills to do. So just do it, team. Like Nike says, jump in and do it.
And thanks for the compliment, Steph. And also that tweak that we made, that was on a lead page, and that lead page is associated with a recent meta campaign that we did. And we run your website as if it's our own. And if I know that there's something changed or something needs to be updated, I'll just go and do it because it needs to be done. And at the end of the day, we're trying to help you get leads, and we're trying to help the customer experience so that if anybody lands on the website, they can find where to go. And if I see they're not going to find where to go, it needs to be fixed pronto. So there's no time for questions. It's just fix it and get it done. And yeah, we actually, not to blow my horn or anything, or our horn, but there's quite a few things we do on the website that just need to be done. We just see it, that needs to be fixed. Vanna is frequently scouring over your website and just trying to find things that might be, need improvement. And she's constantly making adjustments, changing photos, just everything. So yeah, we definitely do our best, and we appreciate the compliment once again.
And it's the first time in 20 years of business that I've actually had somebody doing that for me. Like, that's why I see it as an ongoing relationship, not just a let's get this done now and then move on and do it ourselves. I see it as an ongoing relationship. And I think in this time, 2026 now, this time we are in the world, things have got so much busier that, to look after our own well-being, we need to outsource the things that we're not so good at. And I'm just not so good at those things. And I get fiddled around in my website. And I think outsourcing it means I can focus on doing the best job for my clients. And that's gold for me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the chat, Steph. And we hopefully this has been something that will help our potential clients to decide whether or not to use TriOrbit Digital.
Just do it, team. Just do it. If you're thinking about it, contact Len and Varna. You will not be sorry.